This is Speaking of Pets podcast, where we offer you up-to-date, science-based, accurate information.
Oh, Gizmo! Good kitty. You're such a good kitty.
And they're looking up and howling in unison.
If it affects pets, we'll talk about it. Today's Speaking of Pets podcast is sponsored by Blue Buffalo, the maker of natural pet foods. Love them like family, feed them like family. Blue Buffalo offers wholesome, meat-first recipes with high-quality natural ingredients in flavors dogs and cats love. Discover formulas for all breed sizes, life stages, and lifestyles. And with Blue Buffalo's True Blue Promise, that assures that real meat is the first ingredient, with no poultry byproducts, no corn, wheat, or soy, and no artificial flavors or preservatives. Hey everyone, welcome to Speaking of Pets. I'm Dr. Alice Novotny-Jeroman, a board-certified veterinary allergist and dermatologist, and
I'm Janet Novotny-King. I am not a board-certified allergist and dermatologist. I am Dr. Alice's sister. I'm a pet owner, lover, and rescuer, and we're here to share some really great information for our listeners who love their pets, and we hope you become better pet owners because of what you learn on our show. Thanks for tuning in.
remember, Janet, a couple weeks ago, I was on my way to TJ Maxx, and there was a possum.
Shout out
that
to
was
TJ Maxx. We love TJ Maxx. We're what are we?
Maximistas. But anyway, there was a possum that was hit by a car and killed, and I stopped and I thought, oh, it's been dead for a while. It's probably not a female because it's been dead. It looks like several hours. So on my way home, I passed it, and guess what? All these little babies had crawled out. It was a female. I was able to rescue 2. The rest had been hit. And thankfully, the cars around me stopped. They were lovely, nice. The gentleman behind me in this big white pickup with the line of lights turned his flashers on and got out to help me. So I got these 2 little possum, and I called all over, and everyone was full. And I called Back to the Wild in Erie County, and they said, bring them right over. That's how I got to meet Mona Rutger, who is the founder of Back to the Wild. Mona was formerly known as the Turtle Lady, which to me would be the greatest compliment in the whole world. But now she's known as the Turtle, Eagle, Owl, Bunny, Squirrel. We're running out of names to
She's
rescue
come out
lady.
of her shell.
Okay. Listen, I have to tell you, my husband and I took the babies there, and then they were having a fundraiser a couple weeks later, so we went back. I can't tell you what a wonderful experience this was. The work you do, and it's all nonprofit, Mona, kudos to you. I had no idea you existed, and now I'm like your biggest fan.
Wow, thank you.
Animal hero.
I feel lucky. I just feel privileged to be able to do this with my life. I'm just to, share that small part of a wild animal's life. If as it passes through here and hopefully can be returned to the wild, it's very inspiring.
What a calling. I mean, what a calling that was for you. And what I'm sure when you started with turtles, then when people found that they brought turtles to you, then they probably started bringing you like possum and everything else. Is that how it morphed?
Exactly. Once the word got out and, police stations and firemen found out there was a place to direct people, because there didn't used to be, and nobody knew what to do because it's illegal to keep a wild animal and try to care for it yourself. And even though people's hearts are in the right place, it can lead to disaster for the animal. So, once they found out there was a licensed rehabilitator in the area, area meant nothing. We got them from all over Ohio. People would drive 3 hours to, bring a bunny in, and it just grew and grew.
But how did you know how to take care of a possum or a little bunny or?
That's a great question. As a wildlife rehabilitator, we're under really strict state and federal regulations. We have to be licensed by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and USDA and ODNR. We're not allowed to have wild animals in our possession either unless they license us. Those permits have a fee attached to them. We don't get any tax money or government help, but the permits are in the best interest of the animal, so it's done correctly. But it was leading up to this, we have to attend conferences and seminars annually that wildlife experts and veterinarians train us on the newest techniques and diets, and it changes all the time, as you would know. Things get better and better, and studies help us figure out the best way to return these, restore their health and return them to the wild.
I was telling Janet about the eagle in Lorraine that people brought to you, and tell her about the feathers, the imping.
I call
Yes.
them extensions, like hair
Oh,
extensions.
here's a cool extensions. I like that a lot. It sounds better
You
than
called them
imping.
something else. You called them imping?
Imping.
IMP. And it's a falconry term. Falconers would do it if their bird broke a feather, and it affects their flight. Some feathers are critical to, direction or, coordination, whatever different. Each feather is unique and shaped differently. So when a bird breaks a lot of feathers and is going to be down till it molts, that might be a year later. If it happened right after a molt, that bird is sentenced to a life in a cage here or other rehab centers for almost a year or at least several months, and that works against them. You want to get them out in the wild as quickly as possible. So there's a technique where and again, with government approval and permits and all that, we get the carcass of a dead eagle and find the exact same feather, in the same order, same position, same age, same sex, to find that feather, and you cut it to match the length it would have been, and you put a little bamboo peg in the hollow part of a feather. The shaft coming out of the eagle, say it's only that long, its feather should be that long. So it's broken off. So you take the other feather from the dead eagle and you cut that, and you put the bamboo peg into both sections and put a 5-minute epoxy on it and twist and turn it to the right pitch. And, they even have to graduate on, how they lie next to each other and overlap. And the eagle we did that to, my husband and I flew to Minnesota to the Raptor Center there, and it took 68 imped feathers were put on that bird. All its tail feathers, all its primaries and secondaries, and then we flew the bird on a 200-foot creance line to make sure the flight was good and everything, and we were able to return that eagle wearing another eagle's feathers back into the wild, and it was incredible.
But does that grow out then? And so his real
Yes,
feather.
the following year, they found the imped feather had been pushed out by the new one coming in, and they were laying on the dikes, where these eagles resided. It was at Killdeer Plains, and it was just amazing. So it was a very successful, and we thought we might be able to do that with this Lorraine eagle, but her shafts were so badly damaged, there was nothing there to imp onto. It was broken right up to the skin. There was no piece sticking out to slide the other feather onto. But it's an awesome, technique to get them back out as quickly as possible.
What causes them to get the destruction of
He
those
flew
feathers?
into a power line, we're pretty sure.
Oh.
And it just, severed, just sliced the feathers.
Yeah, it
But the
sliced it.
eagle we had to do all those imping to, the adult eagles made their nest in a goose tub for nesting geese. And it's a 55-gallon drum, kind of sawed off. And it's like half of a drum or a third of a drum out over a marsh. They laid their eggs in it. And the offspring, when they were exercising and flapping their wings daily to get strong and build up flight muscles before they fledged, they sheared off all their feathers by hitting the rim of that tub. And it sheared off their tail. This poor bird was just his body. He didn't have any flight feathers. So,
Like a tuna can, when you open the can, right?
Yeah. And one fell into the marsh and drowned, so they put pallets there to, try to support him. But at least one survived, and it was just an amazing, incredible thing to learn and be able to, apply it, and it worked.
Yeah, I was telling Janet that it's illegal to collect feathers Would you explain that? That's fascinating to me.
Every bird that is native to the United States, um, there's only three not native. That's the English house sparrow, the European starling, and pigeons. You can have those three birds' feathers. All other birds, whether it's a cardinal, a blue jay, a gull, a turkey vulture, especially eagles, but still the law is there. You cannot collect the nest, eggs, or feathers from any wild bird that's native to the United States. The factories needed feathers for the millinery trade, for when women wore hats full of plumes and feathers. They would shoot egrets and beautiful birds to get their feathers that they would have molted anyway, and they could have picked them up then. But the law is to protect our diversity of species, so that collectors aren't saying, oh, I need that feather and I need that, kind of nest.
Wow.
It's a very
So
strict
Mona,
law.
I know you operate as a nonprofit. So I'm sure you have volunteer opportunities for people who have an interest. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, we couldn't make it without our volunteers. They're our lifeblood. We
Good
just
answer.
had 12. We just had 12 college interns leave this week. They've been here all summer. They get credits from their colleges for an internship here, but we don't pay them. We have a lot of local volunteers. We have some volunteers that drive an hour to come here and volunteer, and we're very honored and depend on them. We're so indebted to them. They do a million things here, and we
And
only
what
have a
kind of
very
things
small staff.
what
Kind
do
of
they do for you? What kind of work do they do for you, your volunteers?
Oh, cleaning. It's 96% cleaning and 4%. Now, they help feed some of the animals. We have to be careful. You have to have pre-exposure rabies vaccines if they're going to be handling mammals. We have to pay for that for them.
Oh,
They might feed baby birds in the incubators, with syringes, or tube the opossums. Mostly our permanent staff does a lot of that, because volunteers aren't able to be here on a set schedule every day, like from 8 to 5. They have jobs, they have lives.
Right.
So they come
Right.
when they can. And mostly they help us clean cages or maybe do tours, when the public comes. Everything from groundskeeping to, we ask them to go find a certain kind of branch to put in a cage, to make it natural. Some have amazing ideas. I have some volunteers that have been with us the whole 34 years, ever since I started the center in 1990.
you mentioned the fundraiser. So Mona, how many fundraisers do you have a year, and how do you generate revenue?
Oh, in every way you can think of. We have everything from 5Ks to black tie galas to poker runs to bingo, anything anybody wants to do or put on for us. Sometimes restaurants will give us a portion of the proceeds for a specific day and announce it to the public. We have kids, instead of asking for birthday presents, they ask for gifts for the center. They take our wish list. We have companies, their employees hold fundraisers for us. They do different really neat things at work, and just everything you can think of, we've probably done it through the years. Our big one is our open house / fundraiser, where we have about 1,000 to 1,500 people come. For about 2 months, we collect gifts that area merchants give us. They donate them, and we put them in raffles, silent auctions, what's it? We have a give a hoot auction where they drop tickets into the different,
Yep.
jars, something they want to bid on. We get some really beautiful things donated. So some
You
of them
had
like
some
a
really
weekend
fun
at
stuff.
Put in Bay, or a weekend
Yeah,
at Bay
that
Ranch.
was a wonderful one. Yes.
That one
Yeah.
didn't go over.
Okay, but
Nobody bid on it.
Mona, if you get 1,500 people, if you charged each person $1, that's
We're-
1,500 bucks
There's
right
no
there.
charge.
We've tried charging and it doesn't work. People say, well, I'm a supporter, why do I have to pay to
Yeah.
get in?
But
And it's
$1.
I know. We
Yeah.
say it is a fundraiser,
Right.
it's very difficult. Here's the situation. Location means everything. Location, location,
Yeah.
location. A lot of centers are in affluent communities and are able to raise, we're in the middle of farm country and,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's
It's
quiet.
gorgeous.
It's the country. Thank you. When we first started and bought this piece of land, it was a bare bean field. It was just soybean stubble and not a thing was here. And we planted over 2,500 trees and bushes because I wanted to create habitat to attract wildlife, but I didn't mean like we're attracting it now. I had no, it wasn't in my, plans. I didn't say, oh, someday I want to be a wildlife rehabilitator. That just happened. I mean, I can't explain it, but I mean, I worked for 22 years in offices and accounting and I was unhappy. I did a good job, but I was unhappy. I needed to be outside and I wanted to work from home and I just loved animals and loved people, and it just all came together. I started showing teachers, some people that were teachers, like my turtles, and they're like, "Can I bring my class out?" And I thought,
There
"Oh,
you go.
I won't know
There you
what to
go.
say to them." And it started with teaching kids about turtles, and then as I got my permits to take in other animals like birds, you need a federal permit, not just a state
Yeah.
permit. And it just started growing, and literally, we talked to about 70,000 children and adults each year. That's how
That's
many
incredible.
people we educate. And we leave here and go off-site and do programs like at the state fair, or we just did that in libraries and day camps and churches and wherever we're called. And if we're not off-site doing something or doing it at the same time, somebody else is back here doing a program with groups arriving here. So it's pretty intense.
Hey, did you know that Blue Buffalo makes prescription diets that are formulated by animal nutritionists and veterinarians? And they're used for dietary needs such as kidney support, gastrointestinal support, weight management, and our favorite, allergy and skin problems.
They make a food allergic diet that's an alligator based called NP or a hydrolyzed salmon based for dogs and cats called HF.
So please ask your veterinarian about Blue Buffalo prescription diets.
Mona, when somebody finds an orphaned animal, can you tell them how do they deal with that? Because they have no idea. And I'm sure it depends on if it's a bird, a fledgling versus, but give us some clues for the listeners. Like when I found these two possums.
Yeah, they don't want to hear our advice usually because
Right.
they're overwhelmed with emotion. We have to tell them,
They
don't
want to
feed
feed
it.
them right away.
Yes,
Yeah.
don't feed it. Don't give it any
Right.
water, whatever you do. Keep it warm and dark and don't look at it, because all those things are stressors, but they choke on the water. Birds, the parents don't bring water to a baby bird. They get all their moisture requirements from the soft-bodied insects that are brought to them. So when you put water down a bird's throat, it goes to their lungs and they aspirate. And it's really sad when people bring them in and you can hear the bird gurgling. You know that it's, too late sometimes. The wrong diet, if they've had the bird even for 2 weeks, it has metabolic bone disease from peanut butter or dog food or something that is nothing like what they need. But again, people mean to do the right thing. They just, it isn't even right information online in a lot of places. So
True.
that's why the state and federal have made it against the law for, plus the disease issue. A lot of diseases are transmittable to humans from wildlife. A little bunny, you can get leptospirosis. And, birds, histoplasmosis. There's a lot of zoonotic diseases that are, so we want to protect the public. Raccoons, they have a roundworm that if a human ingests this microscopic little egg, which is possible, you can't kill the egg with Clorox. You can't kill the egg in the wash machine or dryer. The outer protein covering is sticky, but that'll just get rid of that, but the egg's still viable. And I mean, there's people who sleep with these baby raccoons in bed and everything. And if you get the roundworm, it can migrate throughout a human's body to our various organs, but it usually heads for the brain. And people can go blind, they lose their balance. It's a horrible thing. So we want to protect the public from things like that just by educating.
So, Mona, what's the largest animal you've ever taken care of?
Deer, probably. We haven't rehabilitated black bear, but we've had people bring them here because
my
they're
God, how
in
did they
Ohio.
get it? How did they just pick it up? I mean,
Well, these were part of that captive bred. You can buy a bear cub and you can buy a cougar and you can buy, it's
Yeah.
horrible. And then
Yeah.
when they get too big and they don't want them anymore or they get
Right.
aggressive. But
oh my
we
God.
we did deer for like 20 some years, rehabilitated fawns mostly. Adult deer are extremely dangerous. They can slash you open.
Yeah.
Your hooves are razor sharp. But the state, to stop the problem with blue tongue disease and other deer herd diseases, they made nobody's allowed to rehab deer anymore in Ohio at all. If somebody brings us a fawn, we have to put it right back where it was found or euthanize it. There is absolutely, we're forbidden to rehabilitate deer in Ohio. In many states, most states. But it's because it's the way the diseases get spread. You release
Yeah.
a deer in a area it didn't come from, you're introducing that virus or bacteria that wasn't there or that herd had no immunity to, and you can just cause a disaster. In
You know,
the
it's
environment.
interesting. I was reading what you said about releasing the eagle in a different territory. You don't want to do that,
Well,
right? Because they're territorial.
yes, it all depends on the timing of the year.
Okay.
Even though eagles mate for life, within days of losing their mate, if it disappears or it dies, they remate within days sometimes. Eagles, some birds find a new mate the same day.
And use the same nest or no?
Yes, that one that lost his mate keeps the nest territory. They bond with that nest site. So he calls in a new mate. So if we go back and release this Lorraine eagle when he has a new mate, they will attack her and drive her out. And a lot of
Oh,
people
boy.
don't want to believe that. They, we have to be careful not to anthropomorphize, put human emotion on a animal's,
Right.
Thinking or feeling. I'm sure they go through, grief and things like that, but it's not like humans. They have to continue on with the species, they have to keep things going, so they're not going to sit and mourn without a mate and never breed again. So they do find a new mate very quickly.
It's a bird divorce, like divorce, bird divorce.
What-
Really, get out.
what'll
Here comes the
happen-
other
I mean,
woman, pushing that one out.
Strange things can happen though. Something could happen to her, his new mate, like right before we release her, and they could wind up, you never know. You cannot predict what's going on. In nature, when an animal dies, which happens daily and all the time, it's the food chain, it's the circle of life. When there's an opening in a habitat, it gets filled very quickly. Somebody's always on the outskirts looking for,
Wow.
to move in.
Wow.
And you can't just go, when we go to release an animal, we can't just look at a beautiful habitat and go, oh, it's so perfect here, it's pretty. We'll just release them here because it's already occupied. You have to look at things like, is it going to be even squirrels? Oh, they can really, they'll drive another one off and kill it if you put it in their territory. So a lot of criteria plays into it. And again, it depends on if it's their breeding time or it's their, time when everybody's not defending a territory in the winter more. So just depends
Mona,
on.
You've learned a lot in 30 some years.
I did.
Now you know
Without
what
going-
bird's sleeping with what bird and what squirrel's doing it with what squirrel and coupling off. It's like Match.com.
I don't have a degree other than about a 35 or 40-year degree in just hands-on experience. And going to the conferences and seminars are invaluable. It's the Ohio Wildlife Rehabilitators Association, and we meet annually with over 200 rehabilitators from all over. I've been to a national one, and you go to concurrent sessions all day. You pick and choose what you want to focus on and learn. Some are on feeding, orphan babies. Some are on coping eagles and raptors' beaks and talons with a Dremel because they overgrow in captivity. Some are on running a nonprofit or 501c3. I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. I don't know. What
Mona, when I was in vet school at Ohio State, we financed our Raptor rehab unit by pop cans. Because if you've ever been in a vet school lecture at 8 a.m. when the lecture starts, you hear peep, psh, 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 psh,
Oh,
psh,
pop
all
cans.
the pop cans being open. So we would recycle those, take them in, and with the money from that actually sustained our Raptor rehab unit.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
We
Oh,
got it. We got creative for fundraising. Yeah.
that's amazing
Yeah.
what our brains can do when we have to,
Hey,
it's,
what is your favorite wild bird to work with? Because I have to tell you, mine was turkey vulture because they're kind of big and stupid. Do you
I'm
know what I
looking at,
mean?
I'm looking at three right now. They're right outside the window in our,
I know. I saw two when I was there. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
What,
They're
what are your
wonderful.
favorite ones to work with?
Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite. I can't, did you say bird or all animals?
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
Whichever.
Wild.
gosh. I'm, I'm crazy about turtles,
Oh
reptiles.
yeah, turtles for sure.
Here's my
Yeah.
little flying squirrel sitting here. The barred owl's behind me and the eagle. There's a snowy owl. I can't pick. I just love them all.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really,
Is that
truly,
really an owl? Is that an owl behind you?
she's just
Oh
sitting
my
there.
God, because it hasn't really. Oh, there it moved. See its
Yeah,
eye. Oh,
Yeah.
there he is, or she. Oh, he's
that's our
beautiful.
barred owl. I can bring her up closer if you'd like.
Sure.
We love to teach kids. They have these incredible adaptations. Like owls have 14 vertebrae in their neck. We only have 7. That's to help them swivel their head almost 270 degrees. And, that means without moving any part of their body, they look over their right shoulder, keep going till it's backwards, so they look over their left shoulder. Then they go back the other way and do it the other direction. That's to compensate for the fact that their eyes are fixed in their sockets. They can't look to the left or right or up or down. They're just fixed. And they have no peripheral vision, so they quietly swivel that head. And then their ears are asymmetrical, like one's up high and one's down low. That's to help them triangulate and pinpoint the exact location, not just the direction a sound came from, but the exact level and distance. So they're sculpted to perfection. They really, truly, every creature is. It's amazing.
Nature's amazing. Nature is truly amazing, right?
It is. It's a miracle.
You know what impresses me though with wildlife rehab is the food preparation. Because people have no idea that there's different diets for these different animals, and it's a lot of food preparation.
That's what a lot of the volunteers help do. Dice and slice and cut, and
And weigh it.
we even have to put it's called VitaHawk, but it's a supplement in the rats that our hawks and owls eat. We have a walk-in freezer full of mice and rats. Like they cost us almost $80,000 a year. It's just unbelievable. But then you go down to the little formulas. You have to have a different formula for an opossum than you do for a bunny. Their fat content needs are different than the other ones. Some are high energy, and some are. We have different diets for every single animal here.
Do you get any grocery store donations? Because I volunteer at Crow in Sanibel, Clinic for Rehabilitation of Wildlife, and sometimes I go to the grocery store because they donate like their old raspberries, their old lettuce. Do you have anyone that does that?
Yes, we do. And
good.
a volunteer in Norwalk Carlin brings that food every Tuesday to us. And, it's used for not a lot of things here eat produce.
Okay.
Mostly the turtles and the tortoises.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot that are on a plant diet here, you know.
Oh,
I
okay.
wish,
Yeah.
I wish the rodents were, for 20 years they were free. We drove to Michigan, 3.5 hours away to
Wow.
a lab facility, Charles River, and they raise them for
Yeah.
research, for
Yeah.
cancer, you know, and they had to euthanize thousands upon thousands, and we'd meet once a month or whenever you could get in, and you'd share the day with a zoo or another rehab center, and they'd bring out bags of these, and we'd drive home on the turnpike, and the bed of the truck, it didn't smell real good because all
Imagine if you would have gotten stopped and they would have searched your
yeah,
How
car.
many other
and then
people had all the
our
dead things?
diehard volunteers would stand here with Ziploc bags and count them out and you know, put 10 or 12 in a bag or 6, so that when we reach in the freezer, we know exactly how many we're going to put out that night. Even the great blue herons eat mice, and
Oh yeah. Where do you get you stock fish too for the
we
birds?
can't
Where do you get your
freeze
fish
fish.
from?
We can't freeze
Yeah.
fish because then they have a thiamine deficiency. So we
Uh-huh.
have a lot of local fishermen who are
Oh,
wonderful. They
good.
just drive in after a day of fishing, bring us a bucket of the fish they don't want,
Yeah.
and that every time we feed a fish to our eagles, it saves us $3 because
Oh,
that's
that's
taking the place of
wonderful.
rat. And
Yeah.
plus, eagles are fish eagles. The bald eagle is a fish eagle, not the golden eagles, but the bald eagles.
Uh-huh.
Their main diet is fish, and but because
So
they're
where do you get, like, where do you get the rodents now?
um, there's places in business called Snake Snacks and Mice on Ice, and you know, just places that raise them for centers like us, but we have to pay. Rodent Pro, we buy them and meet them where they bring their trucks to places in Cleveland, and then we transport them back here. Sometimes they get mailed, and oh my God, the weight
Oh,
and the postage is horrible. It
yeah.
just killed us when Charles River closed down because that was a free source, and
Yeah.
it made us have to raise another 80,000 a year.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
well, you know, my two cats would be very helpful to you because we literally keep a kill
Yeah.
chart. Chipmunks, squirrels, mice,
Oh,
snakes are new to us now, and they just
oh,
kind of leave them out there. You know,
uh,
yeah.
yeah.
I could freeze them and ship them to you, Mona. I'm just
The
kidding.
Oh
problem
God.
is, we can't even take mice, we can't take mice from local, like, farms and that, because there's a possibility they ate rodent
Poison.
poison. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
rodenticide is one of the
That's right.
leading
That's
raptor
right.
situations. We don't
They have to
know,
be
even though they
pure.
say, oh, I don't think they did. They could have traveled across the field and
Oh,
gotten into
you don't
rat or
know.
mouse poison somewhere else, so they have to be lab rats.
So, Mona, I got to ask you our question. What is your pet peeve? It could either be about humans or pets, or animals, I should say.
Calling us up, coming to us for help and assistance, and that's what we're here for. We're a service to the community, but they think we're the state. They think we're the government. And they say, I pay my taxes, do your job. Come get this animal. And they
Oh
yell
my
at us.
gosh.
We get yelled at lots.
Oh
And I
my.
usually take the phone if my staff's having, you know, somebody young or new is having a
Yeah.
hard time, because the public doesn't realize we're a volunteer. You know, we're just doing this for, I don't take a wage, I never have, all this 34 years. We, you know, used to be a 2-income household, and then when and I chose to do it, and I do it again in a heartbeat. But
Sure.
the public does not realize that, you know, we're not supposed to jump and go help them, and they don't want to, and I'm just saying, there's just a few. Most people are
Yeah.
amazing, wonderful. They really, really are. I guess, what, a pet peeve with an animal, I don't know if I have any. They don't mean to do anything they do. They're just,
You must not have a poop-eating dog like I do.
oh, that would bother me. Yeah, well, our bobcat, we had bobcats for 29 years. They've both reached old age and passed. I miss them so much. I can't even look in their cage. You know, it's only been a few years they're gone, and, you know, I heard the record is 33 years old, and one of ours lived to be 31, so I don't know.
And they were
But-
actual bobcats.
Oh, yeah, Yeah, these are
Wow.
our native bobcat, and
Yeah.
people declawed them so they couldn't hunt,
Oh.
they couldn't defend themselves. One they stole right out of a den in the wild. The other one
Oh.
was captive bred and inbred with its own bloodline, so it had
Oh.
genetic abnormalities that are intensified when you breed like a mother to a son.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she just was inferior. Her shoulders
Oh.
and her head was small, and she had crossed eyes. So
Oh.
nature eliminates that, and nature won't let that gene,
Right.
go on.
Right.
But when they
Right.
breed them for money, then, but she was bought at a Missouri flea market, and
Oh.
then she was let go in the wild. When she was a year and a half old, they dumped her in the wild with no claws, and she
Oh.
was killing domestic geese on a farm in Toledo. And they were going to poison her because, a
Yeah.
bobcat on your farm. I mean, they were
Yeah.
didn't know she was declawed, and we ended up rescuing her. So,
Oh, I'm so glad you did. It just never fails to amaze me. People that do things to animals and think they're doing the right thing, like giving the water to the baby birds and stuff. But then when they go and actually do what you're describing, declaw, it's just
uh,
horrendous,
yeah, there's two
you
different. Their
know,
heart's in the right place in some cases, but in
in
others,
some cases.
they are
Yeah.
just doing whatever works best for them. They want an animal till it's not cute anymore, or till it gets a
Yeah.
little aggressive. And then we've even had people say, well, I'll just raise it till it's an adult and then I'll bring it here and I can come visit it. And I'm like,
Oh,
you didn't hear our mission. You
oh
don't.
my gosh.
Yeah, they asked me where can they buy a baby cougar, and of course we don't promote that. We don't, and now it's way against the law. The Dangerous Wild Animal Act is
I was going to ask you, what is the current legislation about owning wild animals in
it's
Ohio?
very strict now.
Oh,
It
good.
hadn't been till about 8 to 10 years ago that they really clamped down on people having a cougar or
Or a
bear.
sun bear. Remember they used to buy sun
Yes.
bears?
One person in Fremont had 3 adult bear in a cage that all three couldn't get on all fours at the same time. That's how small the cage was. They just could stand, and to just have them, that's, they're not objects and they're not,
Right.
they're living creatures. It's just so sad.
So Mona, for our listeners, no matter where you live, you find a wild animal that's injured or whatever. What do? You Google like local wildlife rescue? Is that the best
You'll
way to
get
find a facility
You'll
near
get a
you?
whole list. We have a wildlife directory too, a rehabilitators directory, and we can direct people to one closer to them. And we know we're all friends. We network, all the different centers. We meet, like I say, every year at the conferences. So we can direct people to the one closest to them. Some still, if they know us or, just have been here before, they'll come from pretty long distance. Our website and our Facebook, if you follow our Facebook every day, you'll
I do.
learn the
Yeah.
stories and the fun. I mean, and there's a lot of fun facts on there, and little quizzes and trivia, a lot of neat stuff. The girls do a great job with that.
I have to give you credit. When we were at the fundraiser, all of your volunteers, the gals and the guys, but the gals, they were so enthusiastic, so intelligent. They're going to pursue animal careers. It was a pleasure talking to each one.
Thank you. I love hearing that too. And they're leaving this week, and I talked to one yesterday, and wish her the best in her future careers, and let us know what happens to you. We've had 3 of our interns become veterinarians.
Yay.
Yes, and we've had one manages 24 state parks in Tennessee, and he was a volunteer here, and I love knowing that we were a stepping stone, and maybe somehow impacted them in some way, and it's exciting, and they benefited this center so much, and that's what I look for. I want somebody that's enthusiastic, but they have to be a people person too. They have to like people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
even though most of them are here because they maybe like animals more, we just really want to. Interacting with the public's very important to me. It's really important.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard for this generation too, because they're growing up with these cell phones and they
Yeah.
don't have that one-on-one. And
Yeah.
COVID happened, And we had that no contact for years. People were dropping animals off at the door, and it was almost like they weren't even. I said, let them know that they are critically important to us. They are the ones that got this animal to us. They rescued it. You know, they're the finder, and don't just grab the animal and leave. Let them know they played an important, part in our process here.
So do you have like a 24/7 phone line? Is someone on duty all the time, or how does it work?
My husband and I.
I knew that was
The
coming.
staff goes home at 8, but we're open 365 days of the year, and, they can call anytime. Animals don't look at a clock, I guess. They get hit by cars at night. We get some strange knocks on our door and strange calls, and people are highly emotional. They're very upset, and, they want help. And
Mona, can I ask you, when I was there when we dropped off the 2 baby possum, was it your husband that was doing the gardening? Because whomever it was gave me some chicks and hens for my garden,
Oh,
and
no,
they're doing great.
that was one of our longtime volunteers. That's Bill Beal. He's a
Oh,
retired.
well, tell Bill thank you. The lady that he gave the chicks and hens to, they're doing great.
And you can have coral bells, and you can have.
Oh, I love coral bells.
And, they came from my great grandmother's garden, and every year I give bunches of coral bells away. Started with 1 clump. I ended up with 80 out here, and I've given away over 100. And
I will take you up on that.
They're the old
I love them.
long ones that are real tall and
Yeah, yeah.
soft pink. Yeah, that's our. He's been volunteering for over 25 years, and he's a retired principal.
Oh, you know what? He's lovely. We talked to him for after we talked to all the volunteers. Then and you were taking a group. You were taking a group around. I think it was maybe new interns or something. But
Okay.
you, when we came out, you said, "Hey, I said, oh, I have 2 baby possum," and you said, "Oh, did you call?" I said, "Yeah." You said, "Well, just go right on in." So
Oh.
yeah, so I didn't get to meet you that day, but I got to meet you at the fundraiser,
Well,
which
thank
you were
for
busy.
And how can I ever thank these volunteers? Really, how can I ever, repay them for what they do? Because I went down with a bad back for 8 years, and he maintained and kept these gardens up. Deadheaded everything. He comes out here 2-3 times a week, and in the spring he plants all the annuals that I order. I order them, and he
Yeah.
plants them.
But you know what,
It's
Mona,
beautifully landscaped, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mona,
Thank you.
in all my years, I've been in the nonprofit work for 15 years, and in all my years of working with volunteers, they don't want anything. What they want
You're
is
right.
to do the work. That if they get more out of it than they give, and they just want to hear thank you.
I
This
put a
is
sign
what they
in the
told me for
garden with his name on and all that, and he took it out. He took it down.
Yeah,
He
they're
didn't want
very
Aw.
humble, right? They're very
Yeah.
humble. Yeah.
They are. It's amazing.
Hey, do you have any pets of your own, Mona?
Yes,
What do
we
you have?
always we had boxers for 37 years, and
Oh,
then
you're a boxer person.
we
Okay.
loved them. 37,
Yeah.
same bloodline. All the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
We let each female have 1 litter, but we always had a offspring, same bloodline, and then we had Great Danes. We rescued a Great Dane, and then
Okay.
it lived 11 years, and then we got
Oh,
another
wow.
one. Was in love with that one, so we got another one, and now we presently have a Doberman, a sweet,
Oh.
a sweet. I can't tell you. This is a very fine, small bone Doberman, but so affectionate. I don't think there's. I don't know. She's the most loving dog, but pretty needy. They're pretty needy.
Yeah.
They have to have
Yeah.
constant.
Yeah.
She's my husband's right arm, and she's with him. He's driving the gator, and the dog's in the seat next to it. It used to be me, but now the dog's sitting there.
Is
She's
she a red one or a black one?
a black one?
Yeah. I tell you,
She's
Dobermans
8
are one
years
of my
old
favorite
now.
breeds. What, say again?
She's 8 years old now, but
she's
it
8.
feels like she's only been here 3 years, but we've had her since a pup. So
So
Yeah,
Mona,
they're so
she kicked you out
affectionate.
of the nest. She kicked you out of the nest, out of the
Yeah.
That's right. That's
in the
right.
car
Yeah.
and everything, she's got to be next
Yeah.
to him. And it's like he's mine,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've had cats over the years, house cats, with the dogs too, but we
Yeah.
don't have a cat right now. I had a macaw, a blue and gold macaw rescue for about
Oh.
14 years. It didn't like my grandkids.
Oh.
It got so vicious. I can see him anytime I want. and he still screams my name at the top of his lungs.
Oh,
He's like,
does he?
"Boy, Mona."
Oh.
But I know where he is. I never gave an animal away in my life, but he was going to. He could have disfigured my grandkids. He would go at them, right? He just wouldn't accept them whenever.
Was he jealous?
Oh, very, very,
Okay.
very. But you could
Yeah.
do anything with him, anything. And
Wow.
he grew up with dogs and a cat. And when the grandkids came along, he just was very jealous. I miss that.
He loves his Mona.
Mona.
Yeah.
He let both of us handle him. He wasn't like a one-man bird, but he just did not want us to pay attention to the kids.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's sad.
Mona,
I
thank
still
you.
miss
You are truly making a difference, not just for the animals, but to the volunteers and to the wildlife. Thank you for the work you do. It's amazing.
Well, and look at all the ones that went on to become veterinarians. I mean, I know you take credit for it, but I'm telling you, when you meet someone like you, it's inspirational. It really is.
Thank you so much. I got to live my dream, though. I got more out of it than I've put into it, really and truly,
Yes.
so much more. Yesterday we were married 54 years. And
Oh, congrats! Yay!
I told him, and I couldn't have done this without him. He allowed me
that's
to
true.
live my dream. It wasn't necessarily his, and he just, he just joined. You can't look him join him, I guess. I don't know. But I was looking at my butterfly bush full of butterflies, and I could see it all out the center, and my pond, and my bird feeding station, and the nuthatch was up there, and I just went, I'm happy. I'm content here. I don't need anything else. It's like I've really been very, very, very fortunate to be able.
You're like Mother Nature. Seriously, you are like Mother Nature.
It's in my
Mona
blood.
Nature.
Mona
Nature.
It's just what heals me. It's just where I find all
Yeah.
my peace and It's,
I can see why you bought the property that you bought. It's very lovely. It's very peaceful there.
Oh, thank you.
It really is.
But if you'd have seen it in the beginning, it was just
I can
dirt
imagine.
field. I mean, we lived in a trailer back here in the middle of the dirt. I thought my parents were going to have a heart attack. I knew what I wanted to do with, planting and I pictured gardens, and I just wanted wildlife to come, to habitat you can put habitat back. That's what we teach kids. You can put habitat back.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think of gloom and doom and, the world's crashing. The eagles are back. Everything, you can do so much positive stuff, and it works. So if I can get kids to, appreciate and respect the natural world and do a better job than past generations, then I've accomplished what I'm wanting
How
to do.
true. Wow.
Amen.
Well, thank you
Mona,
so much.
thank
This
you.
has been wonderful. Janet, when you're in Ohio, Janet's in Connecticut. When you're in Ohio longer than 2 days, I'm driving you out there.
We're
We're calling
going.
Mona up and we're going out. We're road tripping.
I was very honored to be asked to be on your podcast. I really appreciated that. I remember you.
Oh, we're honored to have you.
In
Listen,
the amphitheater, and you asked me, and I was like, "How wonderful!" And being a vet, I wanted to talk to you more, but that day was kind of.
I knew you were really busy, but I just wanted to put a bee in your bonnet about being on the show. So
It's wonderful.
it all worked out.
Thank you, Mona, for being a part of this. And we'll be sure and put your website on the screen and on our social media. And we appreciate you and all the work you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for getting our word out through your podcast. Thank you for getting our word
Oh,
out.
listen, that's the whole point of this. So yes, we're happy to do
Our
it.
pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you learned some valuable information about making decisions about your pet's health.
And don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe on podcasts, because we love to have those likes. Thanks so much for listening.
That's actually really good. You could both go bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
How about woof woof?